It is midday on August 24th, 79 AD, and you are a fish sauce merchant closing up your stall in Pompeii, with a mountain behind you that has never once done anything in your entire life. Everyone here calls it Vesuvius, and everyone here ignores it, the way you ignore a dog that has never bitten anyone. The soil around it is so rich that your best grapes grow on its lower slopes. There is no word in Latin for volcano, because as far as anyone in the city knows, there is no such thing. So when the ground gives a small, lazy shrug just after noon, you do what every single person around you does. You glance up, you shrug back, and you go back to counting coins. Small tremors happen here all the time. There was a bigger one 17 years ago that cracked half the temples in town, and Pompeii simply rebuilt and moved on. Rome does not run from a wobble. Rome fixes the plaster and has lunch. Pompeii is not some sleepy backwater either, which is part of why this is going to matter so much to you personally. It is a real working port city, somewhere around 12,000 people, with bathhouses, a working amphitheater, bakeries with bread still cooling in the oven racks, and walls absolutely covered in graffiti. Because Romans loved graffiti the way modern people love leaving reviews. Someone nearby has scratched a complaint about a woman who broke his heart. Someone else has scrawled an insult about a local politician's questionable haircut. None of these people writing jokes on walls have the faintest idea they are living inside the last normal week their city will ever have. So you have lunch. And that decision, the one you did not even know you were making, is the first of about a dozen that will decide whether you are alive by tomorrow morning. Around 1 in the afternoon, the mountain stops pretending. A column of ash and pumice punches straight up into the sky, and within minutes it has climbed higher than any cloud you have ever seen, higher than birds fly, higher than anything you have words for. People stop in the street to watch it. A few even applaud, because when you have never seen a volcanic eruption before, your brain's best guess is that this must be some kind of spectacle. Across the bay, a Roman admiral and famous know-it-all named Pliny the Elder sees the same column from his ship, and gets so excited about the science of it that he orders his crew to sail directly toward it, to get a closer look. He will later tell his men that fortune favors the brave. Fortune in this specific case is taking notes, and it is not fortune's proudest moment. You do not have a ship. You have a house, a shop, and about 6 hours before the part of this story that kills 4 out of every 5 people who wait as long as you are about to. By mid-afternoon, the sky over Pompeii goes the color of a bruise, and then it starts to rain the wrong thing. Not waters, pumice. Light gray pea-sized stones falling out of a black sky, gently at first, like the world's least pleasant snow. You laugh about it with your neighbor, actually laugh because it looks almost silly, stinging little rocks bouncing off the tiled roofs. Then it does not stop. An hour in, it is ankle deep. 2 hours in, it is knee deep, and the stones are getting bigger, some the size of a fist, falling fast enough to split skin. Somewhere nearby, a roof groans under the weight and gives way with a crack, and you hear screaming that was not there a minute ago. Here is the decision point, the one modern volcanologists still argue about, the one that actually separates who lives from who dies in Pompeii today. Some people shelter indoors trusting brick and tile, the same brick and tile that has protected their families for generations. Others grab what they can carry and go, out through streets already filling with knee-deep pumice, toward the city gates and the sea. The sheltering people are betting on the past. The ones who are moving are betting that this time, the past does not apply. As a general rule, if the sky is actively trying to bury your house, betting on the past is the wrong bet, and a lot of Pompeii is about to learn that the hard way, some of them literally under their own roofs. You decide to move. Grab a bag, grab your family, and go, joining a slow, ash-gray river of people all pushing the same direction, toward the harbor, toward boats, toward the one exit that still makes any sense. It is loud. Not screaming loud, though there is plenty of that too, but a strange, constant hiss and patter. Stone, hitting tile, hitting the wool wrapped over your own head because someone smarter than you tied a cushion there an hour ago, and you copied him immediately, no ego involved, just survival by imitation. Ash is in your teeth. It is in your eyes. Every breath tastes like a struck match. It is now roughly 6 in the evening, and Pompeii is unrecognizable. The streets are 1.5 feet deep in pale stone, doorways half swallowed, familiar landmarks reduced to gray humps. And through all of this, one detail keeps showing up in the archaeology, over and over, in house after house. People grab the wrong things. Jewelry, coin purses stuffed heavy with silver. One man was found clutching a bag of gold rings and bracelets so tightly that 18 centuries later, archaeologists could still make out his fingers wrapped around it. Nobody in the entire recorded record of this city was found clutching an extra loaf of bread. History's verdict on the human species when the sky is falling is that we would rather die rich than die fed. You reach the harbor a little after dark, and this is where the decision that felt so smart 4 hours ago quietly falls apart. The sea has pulled back, shallow and strange, and the waves that remain are too rough and too shallow for most boats to launch safely. Across the bay, Pliny the Elder, the man who sailed toward the eruption for the view, has made it to shore near Stabii, only to find the exact same problem waiting for him. Too much surf, too little water, and pumice raining down thick enough to bruise. He reportedly lies down for a nap to calm his panicking companions, tells them fortune favors the brave one more time, and by morning he will be dead on that beach, not from lava, but from the simple, unglamorous combination of toxic fumes, and being a heavy-set middle-aged man having what modern doctors would call a very bad night for his lungs. Bravery, it turns out, is not actually a survival stat. You are not on that beach, but you are stuck at a harbor that will not cooperate, with a mountain behind you that is only just getting started. And this is the part of the night that decides most of the death toll, so pay attention, because this is the twist almost nobody expects. The pumice was never really the killer. The pumice was the 8-hour warning that everyone got and most people used to pack coin purses. The actual killer arrives after midnight and it does not fall from the sky, it runs down the mountain. A fast-moving cloud of superheated gas and ash called a pyroclastic surge. Over 400 degrees, moving faster than a sprinting human, and it does not care whether you are hiding under a roof or standing in the open. The first surge hits the town of Herculaneum on the mountain's other side, where hundreds of people are sheltering in boat houses right on the beach, doing everything correctly by the rules they knew, and it kills every single one of them in under a minute. These are not careless people either. Herculaneum had already emptied out hours earlier, the smart ones scattering the moment the ash column appeared, and the hundreds still huddled in those boathouses were the ones simply waiting their turn for a boat that was never going to come in time. Not from burnings. From the sheer heat instantly stopping the body's normal processes, which sounds almost mercifully quick compared to everything before it. And for once in this story, quick is the good outcome. Archaeologists would later find their skeletons in neat, huddled rows, facing the sea they never got to reach. Back in Pompeii, you feel the ground shake harder than it has all day, and somewhere above the ash cloud, a bright orange glow starts pulsing where there was only black before. That glow is the signal that the surges have started, and you now have, at absolute most, a few hours left before one of them reaches you too. There is no clean advice here, and this is the part every serious history channel glosses over because it ruins the tidy lesson. Some of the people who ran early in that first hour of falling pumice made it out completely fine, walking to safety in nearby towns while the sky behind them turned to ash. Some of the people who sheltered in strong stone buildings also survived the pumice fall, only to be killed hours later by a surge their walls could not stop. And some of the people who did everything a modern survival guide would recommend, moving fast, heading for open ground, avoiding low areas, were simply in the wrong street when the wrong surge came through at the wrong minute. Roughly 2,000 bodies have been found in Pompeii itself. Total deaths across the whole bay are estimated at somewhere between 1,500 and several thousand more, out of a regional population in the tens of thousands, which means the honest, unsatisfying statistic is that most people probably did survive this eruption. You had genuinely decent odds. You just needed to be moving in the right hour, and there was no bell that rang to tell you which hour that was. The final surge hits Pompeii in the very early morning of August 25th, and it is fast enough, hot enough, and total enough that it does not just kill, it preserves. The ash settles over bodies exactly as they fell, and over the centuries that ash hardens around them while the bodies themselves slowly decay away underneath, leaving behind a hollow, a mold, a perfect void in the shape of a final moment. Nearly 1,700 years later, in the 1860s, an archaeologist named Giuseppe Fiorelli realizes what these hollows actually are and starts pouring liquid plaster into them. And out of the ground come the casts that make this eruption famous even today. A family curled together in a cellar, a dog still on its chain, a man with his hands pressed over his own face in his very last second. Not skeletons, not statues. The literal last physical shape a human being ever made, held for 18 centuries and then poured back into existence exactly as it was. One cast is a loaf of bread still sitting in a bakery oven, never picked up, the world's most patient leftovers. Another is a guard dog, still on its chain, twisted in a shape that makes it very clear it did not go quietly. These are not props in a museum. They are the actual final second of actual final lives, and they have been sitting under your feet in that city for longer than most countries on Earth have existed. That is the part that should actually stay with you, more than the ash or the heat or Pliny's terrible instinct to sail toward danger for the science of it. Pompeii was not destroyed in some instant dramatic flash the movies love to show you. It was an 8-hour countdown, with warning signs, decision points, and a slow, grinding pressure to just keep doing what everyone around you was doing, right up until it was too late to do anything else. The people who sheltered were not fools. The people who ran were not automatically heroes. They were just people exactly like you, making the best guess they could with less information than you have right now, sitting here, already knowing exactly how the story ends. So here is the honest question this whole video has been building toward. It is 1 in the afternoon, the sky just turned the color of a bruise, and rocks are starting to fall from a mountain that has never done this before in your lifetime. Do you shelter in the house your family has lived in for 3 generations? Or do you grab your family and start walking toward the sea right now, before anyone else even realizes what is happening? Comment which one you would choose, and then go tell someone else what you would have grabbed on the way out the door, because odds are it was not a loaf of bread either.